Good day. Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be heard on shortwave broadcast through the facilities of the United States Agency for Global Media or Voice of America on the following shortwave frequencies: 12.020 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.665 MHz. I'm your host, Leo Magpayo, and this is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. met with Mitsubishi Corporation President and Chief Executive Officer Katsuya Nakanishi to push forward a new wave of potential Japanese investments aimed at boosting jobs, fast-tracking major transport projects, expanding clean energy, and strengthening digital services across the Philippines. In a statement, the President said, the discussions focused on investments that would help deliver more reliable subway and railway systems, create employment opportunities, and accelerate the rollout of wind energy projects in the provinces. President Marcos emphasized that these initiatives align with the administration's broader effort to modernize public transportation and improve mobility in both urban and regional areas. The chief executive added that the government is working to diversify the country's energy mix, with renewable energy, particularly wind power, playing a central role in long-term sustainable development. President Marcos Jr. also highlighted the importance of enhancing digital services to make everyday transactions easier for Filipinos as part of the administration's vision for a new Philippines. Mitsubishi Corporation remains one of the Philippines' long-standing economic partners, with major investments in infrastructure, energy, transportation, and industrial development. The meeting reinforces the company's continued role in supporting the government's economic and infrastructure agenda.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Monday said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has gathered key government agencies to make sure the country is fully prepared to host this year's Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN Summit. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro reported that the President met with top cabinet officials directly involved in the preparations. Among them, Foreign Affairs Secretary Maria Teresa Lazaro, Trade Secretary Cristina Aldeguer Roque, Information Communications Technology Secretary Henry Aguda, Social Welfare Secretary Rex Gatchalian, and Science and Technology Secretary Renato Solidum. Castro declared that the Philippines is ASEAN ready as she outlined the administration's push to finalize all requirements for the high-level regional gathering. During the meeting, President Marcos ordered agencies to focus on initiatives that will generate tangible economic benefits not only for the Philippines but for the entire ASEAN community. The chief executive also underscored the importance of supporting development efforts in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARM, especially with upcoming Brunei Darussalam Indonesia, Malaysia Philippines East ASEAN Growth Area or BIMP-IAGA activities under the ASEAN framework.
Pilipinas, ASEAN ready na. Pinulong ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. ang ilang mga ahensya ng pamahalaan na may direktang tungkulin sa Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN Summit na gaganapin sa Pilipinas ngayong taon. Kasama sa mga dumalo ng meeting sina DFA Secretary Maria Teresa Lazaro, DTI Secretary Cristina Aldeguer Roque, DICT Secretary Henry Aguda, DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian at DOST Secretary Renato Solidum at iba pang mga opisyal ng pamahalaan. Napag-usapan na sa pagpupulong ang mga hakbang na magpapatibay sa panawagang ihatid ang direktang pakinabang sa ekonomiya sa sub-region. Nais din ng Pangulo na mabigyan ng focus ang pagtulong sa Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARM para sa idaraos na BIM-IAGA ng ASEAN Summit at isa pang mga mamahalagang paksa. Sa ngayon, puspusan na ang pakikipag-ugnayan ng iba't ibang ahensya ng Pilipinas para sa paparating na ASEAN Summit.
Was Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said it is respecting the ongoing impeachment process against Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., emphasizing the chief executive's confidence that he has committed no wrongdoing. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro issued the statement after the House Committee on Justice ruled that 2 impeachment complaints filed against the president were sufficient in form. Castro added that President Marcos has consistently maintained he violated no law and committed no impeachable offense.
So that's the process. We have to respect that. Even before, sinabi na po ng Pangulo na alam niya na wala siyang ginawang mali, wala siyang ginawang paglabag sa batas, at wala siyang ginawang impeachable offense. Kaya kumpiyansa siya sa sarili niya.
The House Justice Panel voted 46-1-1 to affirm the form of the complaint filed last January 19th by lawyer Andre De Jesus. A second complaint lodged on January 26 by activists and former lawmakers was also deemed sufficient in form with a 45-9-1 vote. Deliberations focused mainly on procedural requirements, including signatures and notarization, and wrapped up in about 2 hours. The committee is set to tackle the sufficiency in substance of both complaints in a hearing scheduled for Tuesday, February 3rd.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Monday, Malacañang said it is leaving to Congress the task of evaluating the newly filed impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Duterte, noting that the allegations appear similar to those raised in earlier cases. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro stressed the executive branch had no involvement in the filing of the complaints and would fully respect the constitutional process. She added that it is now up to lawmakers to assess and decide on the issues raised.
I believe they are the same, almost the same allegations made even before when the first impeachment complaint was filed. So nothing new, or maybe a little, few. But even if we do not have any hand, we are not responsible to the filing of those complaints or impeachment complaints. So it's up to the Congress to evaluate and decide with regard to the subject matter.
2 separate complaints were filed Monday following a Supreme Court ruling that voided last year's impeachment articles against Duterte. One complaint, endorsed by Makabayan lawmakers and former legislators, accuses the Vice President of betrayal of public trust, citing issues flagged during deliberations on the 2026 national budget. A second complaint, supported by civil society groups and opposition lawmakers, alleges culpable violations of the Constitution, graft and corruption, bribery, and other high crimes. When asked whether simultaneous impeachment complaints against the country's top officials could project political instability abroad, Castro pointed to the broader impact of the cases against President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. A House panel earlier ruled that the 2 impeachment complaints against the president were sufficient in form. Castro said the filing of an impeachment complaint against the president affects not only him but the entire country and even the economy, adding that President Marcos remains mindful of the national implications even as he maintains confidence in his innocence.
Una ko na pong sinabi, ang pagsasampa po ng impeachment complaint laban po sa Pangulo, hindi Pangulo lamang ang maaapektuhan nito, kundi ang buong bansa at pati ekonomiya. So, nababahala po ang Pangulo sa impeachment complaint na isinampa sa kanya hindi para sa sarili niya, dahil alam niya na wala siyang ginawang mali at walang impeachable offenses siyang nagawa. Pero nag-aalala siya sa epekto nito sa ekonomiya.
The impeachment complaint against Duterte was endorsed by mamamayang Liberal Party List Representative Leila De Lima and Akbayan Party List Representative Percy Sendanya. De Lima said they believe the complaint rather contains sufficient grounds and impeachable offenses that can be proven once the House Committee on Justice begins its hearings. She noted that the new complaint essentially mirrors the earlier one, but is stronger and more streamlined, and emphasized that the Supreme Court's ruling voided the first complaint only on a technicality.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Monday, Malacañang said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has ordered all government agencies to immediately settle payments owed to contractors who have properly completed their projects. Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Claire Castro said the directive is part of the President's push to stimulate economic activity while tightening accountability in public spending. Castro said the President wants the order implemented as soon as possible, emphasizing that faster payments lead to better project delivery for the public. Despite ongoing investigations into the misuse of public funds, Castro says the President remains focused on driving economic growth. During a meeting with his economic team on January 30th, President Marcos urged his cabinet to move forward and ensure the swift and proper rollout of infrastructure projects. Castro said the chief executive has already directed agency heads to stay fully engaged in the timely completion of government infrastructure initiatives. She also underscored the need for strong coordination between national and local governments to monitor and finish projects efficiently.
Ang utos ng Pangulo, bayaran agad ang mga kontraktor na naging maayos ang paggawa sa mga proyekto. Buo ang paninindigan ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. na panahon na para iangat ang ating ekonomiya. Ito'y sa kabila ng kanyang pangunguna sa pagpapaimbestiga sa malawakang pag-abuso sa pondo ng bayan. Sa kanyang meeting kasama ang economic team noong Biyernes, hinimok ng Pangulo ang kanyang kabinete na to move forward. Nagbigay na ng direktiba ang Pangulo sa mga kalihim na siguruhing nakatutok ang mga ahensya sa mabilis at na maayos na paggawa ng mga infrastructure projects ng gobyerno. Ito'y para matiyak na lubos na mapapakinabangan ng mga Pilipino ang bawat proyekto. Ipinag-utos na ng Pangulo na siguruhing mababayaran ang mga kontraktor na maayos na tumutupad sa kanilang mga kontrata. Mas mabilis na proseso ang bayad, mas maayos na trabaho para sa mga Pilipino. Kailangan din ang magandang koneksyon at ugnayang national at lokal na pamahalaan para mabantayan at matapos ang mga infrastructure projects.
As Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang has declared a series of special non-working days in several local government units or LGUs this February 2026, giving communities across the country time to celebrate their founding anniversaries and traditional festivals. In an advisory from the Office of the Executive Secretary, the proclamations, signed by Executive Secretary Ralph Recto by authority of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., formally designate the dates requested by LGUs to allow residents to fully take part in their local festivities. Under Proclamation Number 1151, February 2nd is a special non-working day in Ilocos Sur for its founding anniversary. On February 10th, two areas will observe special holidays. Talisay in Batangas Province for its founding anniversary by virtue of Proclamation number 1152, and Lawag City in Ilocos Norte Province for the Pamulinawen Festival under Proclamation number 1154. The following day, February 11th, Iriga City in Camarines Sur Province will mark the Tinagba Festival under Proclamation number 1153. Malacañang also approved February 17th as a special non-working day in Padre Burgos, Quezon Province for Padre Burgos Day as stipulated under Proclamation number 1155. More local holidays follow. On February 18th, Bayawan City, Negros Oriental for the Tawo Tawo Festival under Proclamation number 1150. February 19th, Bago City in Negros Occidental for its 60th Charter Anniversary under Proclamation number 1156. February 26, Zamboanga City for its 89th Charter Anniversary under Proclamation number 1149, and February 28 in Tanza, Cavite Province for the 112th Araw ng Tanza under Proclamation number 1148. The palace said all proclamations were issued upon the recommendation of the respective LGUs to ensure residents can fully participate in their local celebrations.
Dateline Malacañang.
And news from the Philippine Senate, senators are brushing aside fresh rumors of a possible shakeup in Senate leadership, saying they have seen no signs of dissatisfaction within the chamber. Senate President Vicente Soto III said he has not been informed of any unrest, adding that colleagues continue to assure him the majority bloc remains solid. Pressed on talk of a leadership change, Soto said he doubts it, but acknowledged that the Senate presidency ultimately depends on the confidence of its members. Senator Erwin Tulfo echoed the sentiment, saying he has not heard of any move to unseat the current leadership. Deputy Majority Leader J.V. Ejercito also downplayed the rumors, saying no one has approached him about any leadership change. Senate Minority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano described the speculation as typical political noise, noting that leadership discussions only matter when the numbers are there.
It's rumors until it's there, di ba? There's always discussions. There are people with happy of our direction, may people na hindi happy sa direction. Ako personally, I think everyone's campaigning instead of governing. So it's really, do you get 13 people of like minds? But as of today, wala pa yung 13 na yan or yung 13 hindi present.
Still satisfied.
We're in the minority.
Uh-huh.
So of course, we want to be in the majority.
Okay.
Diba? That was never a secret. Diba? Sila, they were in the minority. They got into majority. But when they got there, everyone was happy giving them a try. They have their victories, they have their faults. But yun nga, kung ako tatanungin mo, parang there's a national campaign going on. It's issues that are not gut issues, no? It's the direction that's important to us sa minority. Oh, all kinds of pag-uusap. Paano baguhin yung direction? Kamusta yung leadership? Makaka-13 ba? That's never been a secret.
That was Senate Minority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, has recovered 2 more bodies as search and rescue operations continue off Balok-Balok Island in Basilan following the sinking of MV Tricia Kirsten 3. In its latest situation report, the PCG said a rigid-hull inflatable boat from BRP Melchora Aquino turned over 1 cadaver to BRP Capones at around 10:05 in the morning. BRP Capones also reported spotting another body on Mataha Island. Both remains are now undergoing identification and proper processing in coordination with the Basilan Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office. With the latest recovery, the death toll has risen to 42, while the number of survivors remains at 316. Search and rescue efforts are ongoing, with technical divers beginning underwater operation Sunday in suspected sites of Basilan. Their tasks include underwater inspections, information gathering, and facilitating any needed recovery operations. On Sunday, the Coast Guard also confirmed the recovery of PCG Seaman First Class Al-Kaizar Hajail, a marshal assigned to the vessel. According to PCG spokesperson Captain Noemi Kayabyab, survivor accounts indicate Hajail helped guide passengers and instructed them on safety measures as the vessel was in distress. Kayabyab also addressed concerns raised by a family member in a media interview about the lack of updates, appealing for understanding as the family grieves. She said the PCG has assigned a survivor petty officer to assist the bereaved, including support for claims and other needs, and will continue providing help during this difficult time.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service can be heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 12.020 MHz, 15.640 MHz, and 17.665 MHz. Radyo Pilipinas World Service is also live on audio streaming. Just download Evox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.